Hi everyone, Brian Batterman here with part 2 of a 3-part series on making improvements to your business. In part 1, we looked at an activity that you perform on a regular basis, and we broke it down into the actions that you take before the activity, what you do during accomplishing that activity, and anything that you do afterwards, and we laid out all of the actions. Then we made an estimate of the time we spend, so we have a very clear understanding how much time we're investing in that particular activity. In this segment, we're going to go into all of those actions that you laid out, and we're going to ask specific questions about each one of those actions. There's a total of 4 of them, and today we're going to cover 2 of them. Now, the first question is that action or that step really necessary? And you're going to say, come on, Brian, I do it, it must be necessary. Well, would you believe me if I told you that the vast majority of process improvements are because we eliminate steps that are no longer necessary. Let me give you an example. When we first started our business, we had no database. We purchased a list and we started cold calling people, all right? And as you might imagine, we laid out some expectations for how many calls we were going to make and what sort of responses we were going to get. Another part of that process was that when the prospect didn't answer the phone, we left them a voicemail. And we identified that that was taking us about 30 seconds to leave that voicemail. So 30 seconds for each voicemail that we left. As we began to analyze our response rates and our activities around cold calling, we quickly determined that nobody ever called us back when we left them a voicemail. So we were investing 30 seconds on each voicemail for 0 return. We took a look at that and said, we're not going to do that anymore. It's not a necessary step because it's providing 0 value, and we took it out of the process. So look at every step and critically analyze whether it's necessary or not. The second question we want to ask is, can the action be done differently? What do you mean, can it be done differently? This is where you want to think about different, brainstorm with yourself, or get some networking partners involved, or just get creative about how to do things a little bit differently. This is also a question that can involve bringing technology into play. We can do it, we're doing something manually today, maybe we can do it via some technology and change the game that way. Give you an example. In our lead generation system, we send out a weekly email, and we send it from an electronic mail service. And what that means is that I have to extract all of the contact information out of my database, and I have to look for what changed over the course of the week, how many people opted into our email list. Then I have to upload that into our EMS and send our email. Well, that process was taking me about an hour. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. And I thought about it, and I couldn't come up with it. So I reached out to the database provider, and I told them what I was trying to do, and they said, you can run a report inside the database that highlights any of the changes that you're looking for. Wow. So I built that report. It takes me about 6 minutes today to run that report. So 6 minutes versus an hour every week. That's pretty significant. So look at all of the actions that you've outlined and ask those 2 questions. Is that step really necessary? And can that step be done differently? Now, next segment, we're going to go through 2 more very important questions to look at how we can identify opportunities for improvement. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you in the next segment.